This is a Cherry G80-3000 mechanical keyboard. Let's mod it. But first, here's what it sounds like with MX Blue clicky switches. The G80-3000 started production in 1988 and is still being made today, albeit undergoing many revisions. Its retro looks are why I picked it as my first mechanical keyboard. However, my experience with it was underwhelming, so let's tear it down. The G80's keycaps are made of PBT, a highly durable material compared to ABS, but it's very thin, leading to a likewise thin sound. In addition, the legends are laser etched, which look sharp and easy to read, just not as dark or as sharp as double shot ones. The legends on these are a separate piece of plastic. Early G80s used to have thick double shot ABS caps, but are sought after now as they move to thin PBT and laser etching to cut down costs. Don't get me wrong, they're functionally durable, just not the nicest keycaps. We'll be replacing these. Disassembling the housing involves a flathead screwdriver to pry off tabs underneath. Yeah, two paper-thin shells clipped together, which flexes, creaks, and started bowing in the middle from resting my hands on it. And we can see why. Not even a mounting plate here, just a sandwiched-in PCB. These are Cherry MX Blues, a popular clicky switch that many people, including me, start out with. A closer look reveals this plastic white sliding column that creates a tactile bump and click, known as the click jacket. These type pretty good, just not very tactile to my liking, and have an orchestra of noises that muddy the plasticky clicky sound. So let's desolder all of them. Having learned from my first keyboard modding, I've picked up this pricey soldering gun. And I'm glad to, because these traces are pretty easy to tear off, a characteristic of cheaply made PCBs. And look at this, 4 solder joints per switch. The other 2 is a jumper that bridges connections, and so we'll need to open up every switch and pull them out. Here are our new switches. Kale box whites. Unlike click jackets, these have a metal torsion rod called the click bar, which the stem activates on the downstroke and upstroke. These have a much cleaner, crisper, and more defined click, with no rattling whatsoever. In addition, these box whites have a much smoother key travel, even when pressing off center. A reason to still consider click jackets is what's called hysteresis, this distance between the actuation and release point, which may be preferable for typists, but not for gamers as it prevents rapid triggering. It is said that they're around the same weight and tactility as MX Blues, but testing on a plate-mounted keyboard, I find the box whites to be slightly lighter in both weighting and tactility, feeling more like a clicky linear. Neither of these I'd consider tactile anyway, pointing to box pink, jade, and navy as alternatives. The sound profile and smoothness are still a step up. Enough for me to put up with this hurdle. No mounting pins on our box whites, and no mounting plate for our keyboard. First, all jumpers need to be soldered back in as the board won't work otherwise. And as to keeping the switches straight, some MX Blues are pre-installed, so we can line up this length of wood and fasten it down with the holy grail of adhesives, hot glue. Then it's a fairly tedious process of slotting in the box whites, flipping it all over, and while pressing down, soldering them in place. It wasn't too bad, but the switches wobble like loose teeth, thus needed additional hot glue. It would have been easier to glue them in first, in retrospect. A comparatively easy mod to do is to convert the cable into a removable one, which involves a female USB port. It fits surprisingly well. Just some light filing on the top shell and it's perfect. But we have other mods to do first. Now, all the G80s used to come in a cream grey color scheme, which I like, but alas was replaced with a drab industrial light grey that won't match our keycaps. Let's do something about it. The first thing to do is lightly sand down the laser etching, as they stick out a little bit. Then remove all stickers, pads and separate pieces. All clips should be masked off as well. Here's our first spray paint, a primer suitable for plastics. It would help to have it a different color than white. After long, even spraying totaling up to 3 layers, these are left overnight. And here's our color, satin white. It would help for the primer to not look like satin white. After squinting hard enough, 3 coats are layered on and left for much longer to harden, at around 3 days plus a gentle heat. An issue with spray painting is that it covers up the laser etched Cherry logo and lock symbols. We could slap stickers on them, but there's a slightly more permanent method: water slide decals. Old G80s used to have squared borders on the lock lights, which, likely for cost savings, Cherry did away with. The emptiness. So let's measure it along the numpad and F-row and draw it up. Throw in a Cherry logo and we should be good to go. It's printed on water slide decal paper. These are then coated in clear coat spray paint in very light layers and left to dry. As its name suggests, they're soaked in water for around a minute, then placed on our shell, making sure they're straight before sliding off the layer underneath. We just have to squeeze all the water out and gently dry them. Initially, I was about to fill the shell with foam to reduce its hollow sound, but I ran into a YouTuber by the name of Rian22 and his stance on foam mods, and it clicked with me. What's the use of trying to hush our box whites? We shall let them sing. On returning to our USB port, its outer sleeve is removed, and with the original connector, the cables are stripped and soldered together. It'd be great if I had heat shrink on hand. At least installing it is fairly easy. For the stabilizers, I'll do the same mods as on my first keyboard video. We first remove the factory applied lube by washing all the parts in degreaser, but these are bone dry. The sliders have cushioning legs that soften the bottom out. Let's clip and slice them off. And after threading thin slices of plaster through the stems and applying Krytox 205G0 grease everywhere, these are then assembled and fitted in place, with larger slices of plaster underneath. The last mod to do is to spread lengths of tape across the PCB for a deeper sound. We can't put too many layers as the shell might not clamp properly. Now the keycaps. This is a Taihao Vintage Camel, a double shot ABS set that has lovely colors, sharp legends, and full ISO compatibility. It's almost perfect. And being slightly thicker, plus having a taller profile, we should expect a marginally deeper sound. For something significant, even thicker and taller caps would be the way to go. But here it is, my very first mechanical keyboard upgraded. And here's a sound comparison before and after. In conclusion, it's an upgrade all around. First, there's much more personality, and the box whites are a joy to use. An upgrade from MX Blues in my opinion, provided you don't want hysteresis. And I never expected the G80's hollow shell to sound this good, but with our mods and the right switches, it's true. Best used without a mousepad. Ultimately, do I recommend modding a Cherry G80-3000? Well, no, not really. They're so cheaply made that you can find keyboards with much better construction, high quality keycaps, and wider switch choices and colors to boot for not much more money. But if you want to mod one anyway, save yourself from numbness and get 5-pin switches, and be careful with desoldering. Because that sound, it may be worth it. This is the Budding Engineer, and thank you for joining me. See you soon.